Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, or whatever time zone it is, wherever you in the world. It is your Lore Saviour, and as the sun rises in the barely United Kingdom, a new chapter rises within World of Darkness / White Wolf Publishing. As Wizard of the Coast, or Dungeons & Dragons Vice President, I believe it's Dungeons & Dragons specifically, this individual here, whose name I can't pronounce properly, I'm not going to attempt to, has become the new creative director for White Wolf Publishing. Because you may recall that there was some ad that went out a while ago, and because you are the vice president of the largest TTRPG company in the world, you automatically skyrocket up there for people to take on that role. And I have seen a lot of people speak really excitedly about that things are going to be great again. I do think it's kind of funny that Wizards of the Coast, greatest minds as it were, who have been laid off by Wizard of the Coast, all joining their rivals. You've got the two creative directors that have joined Downton Press, i.e. Critical Role's company. I'm waiting for people to join fucking Paizo. And you have the vice president of D&D joining World of Darkness / White Wolf Publishing in Stockholm. But I don't actually feel that confident about this new change, to be honest, because if I just don this silver tinfoil hat of mine, that's disguised as my leather cowboy hat for just a moment, it just further confirms the narrative that I have been fearing for quite some time, in that we are seeing a gradual progression of the DNDification of the World of Darkness, where things have been most focused on stats, powers, monsters, abilities, to try and make it in line with a D&D sort of mindset. And I won't give any names, but I have authors who have worked with World of Darkness tell me that Paradox is trying to push things in that direction. And I'm just using most of my information here from what I read. Because again, some of these authors have been very speculative about this as well. Some of us know a bit more than others. But it just, to me, doesn't exactly smell like a really good idea, personally. Now, of course, Wizards of the Coast D&D Vice President person has got a lot of experience, and from the blog post I'm going to leave in the description below, they're clearly saying all the right things. They've been very enthusiastic about World of Darkness and Vampire the Masquerade since the 90s, which is honestly great. As I said, it's saying all the right things. Is what we want to see for somebody that's taken on that world, to be passionate about the World of Darkness. But the person who is directing Bloodlines 2 has been saying similar things. And a lot of people haven't been liking what Bloodlines 2 has been morphing to be. The return of Justin Achille to World of Darkness, Vampire the Masquerade, as his brief role as creative director, has arguably some of the most controversial elements within 5th edition's writing and releasing. So basically, my point is that just because you do have all this experience, and you have put out a load of really great things, doesn't necessarily mean that everything that you put out should be treated as gold dust. I mean, just using Justin Achille, for example, again. He was also the lead developer for both Kindred of the Ebony Kingdom and Kindred of the East. I had to bring that to somebody's attention. I won't say the person, but they were particularly present, vocal person within the World of Darkness space, who was just shining praise up his backside. It's well, let's just see what he puts out first. I think that's the attitude that we should carry on with this new creative director. Just see what comes out from White Wolf at this point, to see if things do become a bit more involved and not just a more gradual sense of D&Dification within the World of Darkness. Also, people seem to forget or are willfully ignorant that White Wolf are owned by Paradox, that they're owned by a separate company, and the ideas and the developments that they have to suggest have to be approved by them. So, yeah, it's fantastic that we have a creative director who is very passionate about the World of Darkness, who has been around within the scene within the last 30 or so years now. But she is not free to make any fucking decision that she wants. They may get vetoed and rejected by Paradox, i.e. Onyx Path wanted to include the Barley and Cult of the Blood Gods, but Paradox said no. Now they're just going to be treated as a regular monster in that new book. I fucking forget what it's called. I mentioned it's going to appear in a card somewhere now, where I talk about how to roleplay the Barley. So, and that element really annoys me, because they're not free to do whatever they want. There has to be some sort of limiter in person to say, no, you can't do this, no, this is not the direction that we want to take it, which is absolutely fine. And I don't really have a problem with, you know, anybody like putting a limiter on things, so to speak, you know, to give it some sense of direction rather than just being a complete creative freedom mess, like Mage, the Ascension, for example. Doesn't mean I have to like the things that they limit and change and whatever, but just because somebody has a lot of experience with world building and, you know, the largest TTRPG in the world, doesn't necessarily mean that what's going to be put out there is going to be great, and it doesn't mean that it's going to be a return to greatness or world building is going to be great again. You know, I think we should just be a bit more cautious with it. You also have to think about a little bit how all of that's going to transfer to the other World of Darkness media, the Transmedia bit of the doc description, i.e. the video games, the board games, the card games, the other ways to experience the World of Darkness. Now, I'm very certain that Vice President Woman is very good at what she does. To be hired by Wizards of the Coast in the first place and to be picked up so quickly by Paradox, like, she's obviously very qualified on to do. I don't want people to think, oh, I'm bashing at this woman, like she can't do what she's doing. Absolutely not. I'm just a bit fearful and skeptical that somebody with a lot of experience of Dungeons and Dragons and a company that wants to make things as popular and through a similar franchise model that D&D wants to go through at the moment is the best fit for the World of Darkness. And we've seen this for quite some time now. I don't like it. I'm obviously not going to be following this news too closely unless something is shoved in my face, such as this news. And it's ultimately quite a big thing, because things can go in one of two ways now. Things could return to a more familiar format that we are used to with the World of Darkness, but I do have my doubts of that. But of course, I come from a particularly negative bias with this because of what I've read, and I haven't been happy with what I've read, because I feel that some of the more recent things feels like a D&D inspired sort of take on the World of Darkness, and also some conversations I've had with some of the authors and developers. But you're entitled to believe as much or as little as I'm saying, and I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. Do you feel this is going to be a return to your considered subjective greatness, or do you think things are going to go further downhill? Or don't you just give a monkeys and just came to check out your Lore Saviour's latest video because you're totally goated? Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. Now, if you want to try out Vampire the Masquerade, because who knows, this may be your very first experience into the World of Darkness via this video, which I'm sorry if this is such a negative first-time experience for you, but that's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. But if you want to ignore this grumpy, bearded git, that's absolutely fine. But what you should definitely do is check out the books in the description below and buy them with those special affiliate links so I can get some of the money back and you have lots of fun. So you get books, I get books, and you get free content like this, and hopefully things are a lot more optimistic and still equally based, which is absolutely amazing. But if you've got those books already or don't particularly like them and want to support me financially still, what you can do is copy and paste this special affiliate code in the description, put it in the URL of any book that you're about to add into the cart and drive through RPG, and get books and support me that way, which is great. But if you can't do that, that's absolutely fine, because times are hard on all of us, and, you know, financially we're all a bit fucked at the moment, unless you are one of the privileged 1%. But if you can do that, it's great. If you can't, that's absolutely fine. But what you should definitely do, regardless, is like this video, subscribe to the Lore by Night channel, and share this video with any and everyone who loves what I do. And I'll see you on the next upload, whatever that may well be for you. And until next time, farewell and stay hydrated.